Okay, nerds, it's time for our bi-monthly Cherry Just Really Likes Pastel Unused Fusion video. Now, I'm also going to use this video as a review and recap of my previous unused fusions, and to flesh out my Rose Returns plans all in one accessible place. So I'm going to go over all of the lore I already put into Rose Returns one way or the other, and vaguely hint at my future plans for the project. Alright. Firstly, let me give you a quick rundown of the Rose Returns universe. The Rose Returns universe is a theoretical continuation of the series, maybe 3 or 4 years after the end of Future. Rose's revival isn't the only focal point of the series, but her reconnecting with the other characters is a predominant plot point. Sometime during Steven's road trip, Peridot and Pearl theorize a method of copying Steven's gemstone, with the technology from the duplicator wand in Pearl's possession and a rejuvenator wand. Collaborating together, they created a refresher blade, which could be used to copy a gem while erasing the last save file that the gem can operate from, effectively removing Steven while keeping the information that is Rose. With Steven's consent, they successfully bring back the lovely pink marshmallow. Hugs all around. The only people who were aware of this experiment in advance were Peridot, Pearl, Greg, Steven, Garnet, Amethyst, and Bismuth. Lapis as well, but that was only due to proximity to Peridot during the construction phase. Now Rose gets to see the fruits of her labor, is allowed to reconnect with all of her loved ones, and finally get to know her son. But she'll also have to confront her abusers, and her mistakes, and old wounds that just plain hurt. So, yeah, that's the stuffy elevator pitch. But really, I just want to make Rose happy and explore some character dynamics the show never capitalized on. There is only one major plot change from canon. In this universe, White Diamond was bubbled rather than reformed at the end of Change Your Mind, while Blue and Yellow's arc proceeded as normal. And she's going to stay bubbled. I'm writing her out of the story. No ifs, and, or buts about it. All of the fusions I've been making are present or theoretically present in this AU. Since a lot of the focus is going to be on relationships and very communication heavy, fusing will be a pretty regular occurrence. Gosh, I am so excited to make more shorts for this series, but let's talk more about that later. Now let's get into the fusions. I'm going to put up canonical characters as well for scale, and after I show you my newest fusions, I'll slideshow the other ones so everyone's up to speed. First, we have Iolite 1.0, the fusion of Rose and Sapphire. Iolite 2.0 was one of my first fusion designs for the series. I didn't think much on her personality back then, and focused primarily on her powers and signatures. When I make a fusion, I use a few rules. One of the main ones being that every individual gem leaves a signature in their fusions, something unique that they bring to the table. For Rose, it's a healing ability of some kind. For Sapphire, it's a unique prognostication. Steven's fusions can never produce conventional weapons, only toys or tools. So Iolite 2.0 has omnipresence, and can summon floating, size-changing balls that she can use telepathically. And she can hit anything with pinpoint accuracy, knowing the precise location of anything and anyone at any moment. Iolite 1.0 has the same omnipresent ability, but can summon nothing whatsoever. Rather, her singing can heal anyone within earshot. Iolite 1.0 is a very hippie, happy soul, who's always where she needs to be. She talks in a whispery, calm voice and calls Steven her lovely little miracle. She's wonderful. She only existed once before Steven's birth, but it's not uncommon after Rose returns, with Ruby and Sapphire more comfortable and Rose wanting to remain close to all of her loved ones. God, I love her so much. Next up, we have Watermelon Tourmaline, the fusion of Amethyst and Peridot. Watermelon was easy to design visually, but hard to really characterize. And I don't know why. It feels like it should have been easy. Chaotic, innocent energy, and chill, cool with a side of chaos. It feels like the synergy should have been simple. But regardless, it took me a minute. Starting with her components, Peridot's signature in a fusion is some kind of kinesis. What they can control can vary, but they are always telepathic. And Amethyst's fusions are all neurodivergent in some way. Since I personally already believed that Peridot to be autistic representation, that part was easy enough. It just carries over. She's happy and easily excitable, and often has trouble controlling her volume. She pulls her hair as a stim when she's overwhelmed or excited. I think she would be good friends with Spinel, surprisingly, being one of the only gems to keep up with her energy. She has an oddly specific kinesis that allows her to control vines or wires or whips, anything in that shape group. I think fusing into her gives both Peridot and Amethyst a little serotonin boost, but I think she's actually not all that common of an occurrence. Certainly not scarce, but I think she gets overstimulated quickly if she stays formed for too long. Next, we have Kyanite, the fusion of Sapphire and Lapis. I was thinking I might actually make a short for her origin. Kind of like this. She first came around during a class on fusion at Little Homeschool. Sapphire and Ruby were focusing on how a fusion can communicate with itself when one of its components might need help or comfort. This was very recently after Lapis's first fusion post-Malachite with Steven, resulting in Cowrite. She wanted to start becoming more comfortable with fusion and volunteered to fuse with Sapphire. It took some time for her to relax enough to dance, and once they finally fused, Kyanite was caught between calming and proud and absolute panic. Ruby narrated to the class basically what should happen in this situation, while we would see it playing out in Kyanite's mind. Here comes a thought style. Sapphire's calm but not condescending attitude helped Lapis stop panicking and feel Kyanite as she was, not as Lapis was worried she would be. Helping Lapis focus on what Kyanite could see and touch, how she felt to be alive. Back out in the real world, Kyanite says, "I'm okay." Touching the grass beneath her, Kyanite exhaled, "I'm real." Smiling, she promptly unfuses. It's a good moment for Lapis, and a huge step for her recovery, and it's not the last appearance of Kyanite. And Lapis and Sapphire become good friends as a result. Okay, yeah, no, wow. Saying it out loud, I am absolutely animating that, so stay tuned, I suppose. Regardless, Sapphire's prognostication manifests in preemptive empathy. She can predict when someone is about to feel emotionally or physically different, so she can stop someone from falling over or stubbing a toe. Lapis's signature is specifically hydrokinesis, very basic, so Kyanite can control water, but also has the ability to purify it, making it drinkable. Next, we have Cinnabar, the fusion of Rose and Ruby. She was the first of this batch that I drew, and I'm really proud of her fire. Ruby's signature is energy kinesis, but it can only manifest as a warm energy, so Ruby's fusions can manifest things like lightning or fire, but never things like ice or water. And like I said earlier, Rose's fusions all have a healing factor. Cinnabar can produce fire that orbits around her and blocks incoming attacks, but the flames themselves can't physically hurt or even affect humans, and can actually heal gems. Her personality is very similar to Bismuth's, rowdy, kind, and boisterous. She gets very swoony over Sapphire and Pearl, and very, very protective over Steven, to the extent that it becomes comedic. I really like her. She's one of my favorites of this bunch. Next, we've got Sodalite, the fusion of Lapis and Amethyst. She would clearly only exist much later in the timeline than Kyanite, much after Lapis becomes fully comfortable with fusing again. But I feel like her and Amethyst would have a really good synergy. Sodalite is like a very rebellious big sister, with a dry wit like the desert. Very Marceline, you know? Her hydrokinesis really only manifests with her water wings, but they're a permanent part of her body. She's almost never on the ground. She likes to play pranks and nap, and Amethyst's signature manifests as narcolepsy. So yeah, lots of naps. She's not too frequent, but usually makes an appearance when Lars is back on Earth. They like to hang out. Here, we've got Umbilite, the fusion of amethyst and spinel. Umbilite is not a common occurrence, but that is not for lack of friendship between the two. I always thought that amethyst would be a huge part of spinel's recovery, and that they could be really close as a result. Amethyst can understand a lot of spinel's self-esteem and abandonment issues, and a little of what it's like to be alone for so long. Amethyst would really help Spinel come to value herself outside of a relationship, to respect and love herself beyond other people's approval. And I think as a result, Umbilite would actually have a very prideful attitude. But what becomes difficult about Umbilite is her triggers. Amethyst and Spinel make each other better. They really do. But both of them have trauma that still lingers in them, and they both respond to triggers with bursts of aggression. This manifests in Umbilite as a severe bipolar disorder. She can be totally calm and fun hanging out with Pink Pearl or Steven or Rose, but then if one of them goes out of view for too long and she thinks that they left her, or something innocuous is said that makes her feel insecure, she's suddenly in a very violent rage. Much like Sodalite, she is difficult to convince to unfuse, and this can create some pretty dangerous situations. So usually they avoid fusing frivolously. But Spinel specifically doesn't want to bench Umbilite forever, doesn't want to give up on her for things she can't control. So they still fuse every once in a while, either alone or with someone Umbilite trusts, and see how their personal progress affects her. And yeah, there's progress. Next, we have Kyanite 2.0, the fusion of Lapis and Rose. Once again, this is a fairly late in the game fusion for Lapis, and mostly an incidental one. While I don't believe Rose and Lapis have a bad relationship, by any means, I don't think they cross paths too often. I think Kyanite 2.0 really only happened once during some get-together with everyone and Steven. Maybe a bonfire on the beach where they got to talking about how wonderful Steven is, and then how they each fell in love with Earth. Maybe a bit about how they both think bismuth is just really hot sometimes. Oh no. And then, bam, they're having fun dancing around the fire, and Kyanite 2.0 is born. A fun, lighthearted time for everybody. Her eyes roll between pupils in place of blinking, which is a little unsettling, and just like Kyanite 1.0, she has the ability to create healing water out of any liquid she controls. Next up, we have Pink Tourmaline, the fusion of Pearl and Spinel. Now, the fusion of Spinel and Pink Pearl resulted in Kunzite, but Pearl and Spinel made a Tourmaline, and this is because of something unique to pearls in my universe. Basically, every color of pearl registers as its own gem type unless they are fusing with another pearl. So, usually a fusion of two of the same base gems result in the same fusion type, even if they're different individuals. Every ruby and sapphire make a garnet, every pink diamond and amethyst make a smoky quartz. But two pearls will make a larger pearl, like any other gem type fusion. But no two pearls will make the same fusion with a different gem. Basically. Yeah, that's complicated, but whatever. Pink Tourmaline here is a kind of infrequent occurrence. Much like Kyanite 2.0, Spinel and Pearl just don't really hang out much unless it's with Rose. But when Tourmaline does come out, she is the ultimate rebellious daredevil. Fuck all authority. Fuck anybody who tells her what she can and can't do. Rose and Pink Pearl think she can't swing that 3-mile gap between homeworld buildings? They want her to be careful? Fuck 'em. I didn't mention with Umbilite, but Spinel's signature is the large, curly-Q limbs somewhere on the body. And Pearl's signature is the ability to do 360-degree movement somewhere on the body. This manifests on all of Tourmaline's limbs, allowing for even more parkour. Coming up at the end, we've got Scapulite, the fusion of Lapis and Spinel. Now, I'm not sure if she's purely theoretical, or if they will actually fuse at some point, but I still quite like the design. I think Lapis's hydrokinesis would manifest in a Looney Tunes-style water gun spray that can shoot out of her tail hand. Other than that, I don't have much for her yet. And that's it for the newest batch of fusions. I'm putting a lineup of all the past ones as well, so if you want to hear about them or their origins or powers, please check out my previous fusion videos on them. And before I end this video, let me quickly let you know where my plans are for the Rose Returns series. Currently, I have another collaboration with my friend Palesma for the next short. It's going to be one of the best ones yet, animation-wise, and it focuses on Rose and Pearl. But I won't tell you anything more than that. Please go follow Palesma on his social media. He does storyboards of Steven Universe all the time, and they are genuinely fantastic. He was my collab partner for the first Rose Returns installment. I'll put all of his links in the description. Seriously, check him out. He's cooler than me. Beyond that, I have the rough plans for at least 3 other shorts. Rose reuniting with Garnet, Bismuth, and Amethyst, Kyanite's creation, and the confrontation between Rose and Yellow and Blue. I have ideas for so many others, and I hope I can continue this project as animation practice and as a fun exploration of the universe for a long while to come. That being said, I'm actually looking for anyone who wants to collaborate with me on this. I'm looking for artists to help me storyboard or just spitball ideas around. I've always found it a great way to make friends through art. If you're interested, you can email me or message me on Twitter. Literally anywhere. Throw a stone through my window at night. I don't care. And with that, I'll see you next time, guys. It's been a treat.